Hi, and welcome to a special edition of the Social Angle Podcast. I'm Vinny.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're joined today in the studio by Counselor Executive Editor Chris Ruvo, who's flipping the switch on us, and he's going to ask us some social media-based questions. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, guys, I'm good. Thanks for having me in. I appreciate it. You know, I know you guys do so much with video and social, and we thought it would be interesting for our audience to kind of get some insights into that, basically. Pick your brains a little bit and see how to, I guess, incorporate video more effectively into your social media strategy. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's get started.
All right, cool. So let's jump into the first question. Really just more broadly, I think most people know, but maybe not everybody does. Why is it important to incorporate video into your social media strategy? Why does it have a home there?
Great question. So right now, video is huge on social media. I mean, it's on every platform because every platform not only encourages it, but it supports it. And video as a medium is the bell of the social media ball. I think of it like that. Any type of platform for social media encourages that medium. So, you know, you have to get it out there. It's really the preferential medium, and you're going to get preferential treatment for that video.
It's going to outperform everything as well.
For sure.
Exactly. Any links, any photos, your video is going to get the most performance.
And if I understand preferential right, that means that the various platforms' algorithms in a technical sense are going to give that press. It's going to bump you up, right, if you're doing video.
Automatically.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, very good. Let me hit this next one here then. Is it important to plot out a particular strategy for how you use video as part of your social media marketing? Like, should you really have something defined, or should it be more fluid? What do you do there?
I think it can be split over that. You know, you could be more organized, and you can also be a little bit more fluid, right? And I think it all depends on how you're looking at your video. If we're talking about lives and things, you know, the transparency and authenticity of, you know, a behind-the-scenes walkthrough of your company, that doesn't need to be necessarily super organized, but it could be organized in your content calendar. So that's kind of like, you know, how you roll out that content, how you know, make sure that you're telling the story throughout multiple, you know, months or weeks or wherever it is for each campaign. That's where that comes into play.
Right, and I think also to that point is that a lot of these lives that you do can be impromptu. So you don't really schedule them out, so to speak. You know, we do a lot of lives here. It's like, oh, something happens, a breaking news item, you just go and do a live. So you can't really integrate that into your content strategy per se, but make it part of what you do on a regular basis.
Exactly.
So is it less like strategy and more like kind of an overarching philosophy? Hey, this is how we want to approach, you know, social media, video and social media in general?
That's exactly the way I would put it. I'd say, you know, what are some of the goals that you want to have come out of this? You know, how do you want to represent your company? How do you want to represent your brand? And then you say, how do we do that? You know, are we going to have a structured weekly show? Are we going to have, you know, really in-depth, you know, how this product is made videos? Those are all different answers that can be on the same board. You know, there is no really wrong answer here. And then you can get into the more transparent stuff behind the scenes with the lives as well. It's all part of a strategy that you take, you know, and move forward all at once together.
Gotcha. So what are some essential must-dos, if I'll call them, when using video as part of your social media strategy? And what I mean, just, you know, things that you just have to make sure you're doing in order to get, you know, the most out of this.
Sure. So as we mentioned earlier, you have to start doing live video. Now, we've been doing it for a couple years now. Now, if you've never done it, don't freak out. You know, I think the common problem is people are scared. They think, oh, I'm going to be on live video and I'm going to make a mistake. If you make mistakes, that's okay. It really humanizes the brand. It makes you relatable, and you can also build relationships just by being yourself. Like, oh, I made a mistake. Patrick and I did one a month ago, and we made a couple of mistakes, but you know, we owned it, we laughed about it, we had fun with it, and then
mistakes I can do, by the way. I got those covered. Yeah,
totally. So to upload your videos directly to the platforms. Patrick and I, we talked about this ad nauseum. Now, when you take a YouTube link and you share it in Facebook, that's not a video. That's a link. That's considered a link. So all the platforms want to own the video, so upload your MP4 or .mov directly to the platforms. And then finally, use good SEO when you're creating and uploading your video. You know, give it good titles, strong titles, good descriptions. Now, think of like YouTube. Google owns YouTube. If you put a piece of video or piece of content into YouTube, and you do your SEO well, what do you think happens to that video? It's going to be found very easily when you search in Google, because Google owns YouTube. It's going to give YouTube content to boost.
Very good. What are some common mistakes, kind of looking at it from the other angle? What are some common mistakes that are essential to avoid when you're using video as part of your social media marketing?
So the classic one is one that he just kind of pointed out, making sure that you're uploading them correctly and making sure that you're, delivering that content you spent all that time on in the right way. And that's kind of really the first one that you want to make sure you got right. The other things are, make sure you're doing the descriptions really in depth. Sometimes the headlines, broad, that's fine, but then actually kind of explain what actually was covered in that video. That'll also help your search results too.
Right, and think about your user when you're doing all this.
That's a great one.
Think about how the people that you want to see your content, think about how they would search. I think when you do SEO, your titles, your descriptions, your tags, you have to think about in terms of the people that you want to find your content. Social media platforms are all giant search engines, and you want people to be able to search them and find your content.
And I have another one add on to this too. For one of my favorite stats to throw out there is that 80% of all videos on Facebook are played while on mute. So one of the things now, that's a heck of a stat, 80%, right? So one of the things is now there's videos out there you don't need subtitles for, right? If it's an image kind of thing, that's fine. But for the ones that do actually have talking and explanations, make sure when you upload them, you take the time to do the captions. It's automatic through Facebook, but don't trust that tool. I'm telling you, it messes up probably about 60% of the words in there. You have to go in there. It's a little tedious. Expect to take some time, but it pays dividends, because then nobody's going to be like, oh, this looks like this isn't English under this here. Like, what's going on?
Is that Sanskrit there?
Exactly. So take the time, do that, and that will actually help you a lot.
Gotcha. What social platforms should suppliers and distributors in our industry be active on when it comes to posting videos? Where should they be posting these videos is the simpler way to ask that. And can it kind of vary?
Well, sure, but I think in 2019 there's no good excuse to not be on Facebook. There's 1 billion or so active users, so they say, on Facebook. So you really need to have a company profile on Facebook, and that's the place you should be posting your videos. And for sure, you have to be on YouTube. Now, like I mentioned earlier, get your content onto YouTube. Title them well, put good descriptions. But I think a good rule of thumb is that you should use your time wisely. If you only have time to be on one network, choose one network and do it well. Like, don't be on 5 different social platforms and do it poorly. Pick one and do it well. To me, if you have product videos, I'm going to emphasize, put them on YouTube, get them on YouTube, and then I would say Facebook. Of course, don't sleep on Instagram and Pinterest. Those are 2 very powerful platforms for video as well. I would also look at them, but that's, of course, if you have the time to do that.
Okay. And I'm going to throw one more in here too, LinkedIn, obviously. That's something that you're going to want to address in your plan, and make sure, especially in the B2B marketplace, that's something that you want to put out there as well.
You guys are the experts on this. I understand that LinkedIn's kind of really upped its game lately, right?
Yeah.
With video, where they really want to be a hosting platform for video now, similar to what Facebook did, right? Yeah. Is that fair to say?
Yes. They're definitely doing a lot more video, and they're also doing live video soon. I think it's not available to everyone. It's in beta version, but they're going to offer live video as well. They're a little bit behind the curve on that, but certainly that's going to be another place for live video.
Just a little side thing here too. Also, they're revamping a lot of their features right now, and that will eventually touch video as well, because one of the things is they revamped their news feed. They revamped, the reactions they're going to be rolling out. They're going to be copying Facebook reactions on posts now. So it's going to be a lot more discourse happening on the platform. So you're going to see a lot more engagement happening over there, and if they're going to be giving preference to video in their algorithms, then that's going to be where you're going to be having those conversations.
Makes sense.
So I think the short answer there, Chris, is all
Everywhere.
The platforms.
Everywhere.
Every single one.
All
but
right.
I would start for sure YouTube. That's the place people look for video, and of course they're owned by Google, and the search algorithms are going to favor that content.
All right, fair enough. What are a couple good examples of video in social media marketing done right? Like, does one jump out for you?
You mean in this industry?
It could be this industry. It could be more broad. Just one that would maybe be applicable to our industry.
Okay.
Patrick will jump
One,
on this.
Snugs is really
Yeah.
good in our industry. They do a really good job. They get really creative in their thinking. And what's great about them is it's not just like, don't get me wrong, their videos really high production, really nice. It really comes out great. But the creative thought process behind those campaigns is something to look at, because then you can kind of see, okay, it's not just point A to point B. You can kind of make a journey and tell a story throughout that marketing. So that's kind of a thing that I would tip of the hat to them for that, because that's really
I
really
think
good.
they also have a video production department, which to me is they're the exception. They're not the rule in this industry. That's why their videos stand out to us. But again, kind of circling back to this whole idea of doing video, like even if you have just a cell phone, do it, and if you're consistent with it, I think consistency is also an important part of doing video and social media. Do it consistently. Like we try to do, live video every week. If you can do that and do it consistently, you're going to get a following.
Okay, well said. Can you discuss the role of social media influencers? How can they help you basically in your video marketing efforts?
This is a challenging area in my estimation, but generally influencers have a large following, and in each industry has them. You just have to find them in social media, follow them, and engage with them, have conversations with them, find out who the big players are in your industry. And when we talk about, I know there's macro influencers and there's micro influencers.
Now there's nanos too.
Nano,
so it's all tiered out.
So it
I'm a
doesn't.
nano, myself.
I'm a micro, but you don't have to have a massive following. You could have a few thousand followers and be considered an influencer. But just find out who they are, engage with them. You can actually send them direct messages and say, hey, look, can you do me a favor and retweet my content? If you do that, they might do it. I get it all the time. Like, I'm considered a influencer in our industry.
Right.
I have 12,000 followers on Twitter, and people ask me all the time, hey, can you do me a favor and retweet this? And it's like, depending on what it is, I'll go ahead and do it. But I think people are afraid to do that. They're like, oh, they're not going to do this. Why would they do it? Just ask.
Ask.
So, that, from an influencer perspective, get to know them on social media. That's what it is, social. Go and talk to them, have a public conversation, or take it offline.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Is there anything that we didn't cover on this that we should have?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. All right. Well, thanks for having me on and letting me fire some questions at you. I hope it wasn't too bad having the script flipped on you and everything.
Oh, no, it went
thanks
well.
so much.
Absolutely. For Chris and Patrick, I'm Vinny, and we'll see you next time on The Social Angle.